Didn't consider myself an entrepreneur. I didn't call myself a business owner, and I didn't run it legitimately or anything like that. I think some tax caught up to me later down the track. I was just young and I just wanted to fix the problem that I saw, really.
Help me welcome the woman who went from having her own talent agency to now an 8-figure entrepreneur who has been featured in Forbes 30 Under 30, my friend, Miss Jade Spooner.
I know when I'm here to do a job, and I won't stop till I get the job done. So if any sort of setbacks happen, it's part of the journey. There is no timeline. When you do things, it's on your time, your books, your rules. Like that's up to you.
Are you in a relationship?
I am now, yes.
How has it been as a female entrepreneur, CEO, boss lady, killing it?
It was a roller coaster because I was someone that...
Okay, so to wrap this up, I've got a final question.
Yes, I'm nervous.
If you were to go back to your 18-year-old self and give her 30 seconds of advice, what would it be?
Don't.
All right, guys, today's guest is a renowned entrepreneur in the health and fitness space, online business mentor, and has won awards for having the #1 fastest growing tech company. Starting as an employee for Google and then getting a first-hand insight into the world of big tech companies, she developed a passion to build something of her own, where she built a coaching app for customized nutrition plans for all body transformation goals. Starting this in 2014, and then by 2021, the app grew to an 8-figure valuation where she managed a team of 30 staff and turned the manual service into a digitized tech platform. Now working on her latest endeavor, Big Appetite, where she has helped hundreds of companies and startups around the globe thrive in the online space through tech, marketing, and business coaching. So please help me welcome the woman who went from having her own talent agency to now an 8-figure entrepreneur who has been featured in Forbes 30 Under 30, my friend, Miss Jade Spooner.
Thank you. What an intro. That
Hello.
Was lovely. I want to carry that with me and put in my bios everywhere I go.
I'll send it to you. Look, I'm very excited to chat to you. To be honest, like I put out on my story the other day, I was like, I'm coming down to Sydney doing some interviews. Who some people know? Then your name got thrown around a bit. I was like, who's this Jade? And I sussed you out a bit. I was like, it's so amazing because as you're probably aware, and I was having this conversation with my girlfriend the other day, I'm like, we're talking about males and females in the entrepreneurship game. I was like, the reason there's more young males entrepreneurs is because males tend to take more risks in life early on. Women tend to take more risks later on in life. It's all about, like psychological, like safety and stuff. So the entrepreneur thing, you see like the Sarah Blakeleys and stuff, they kill it a little bit later. You've been killing it since day one by the sounds of it. So I'm really excited to sort of chat and hear all about this. How long have you been in entrepreneurship for?
Look, it was really only until you asked previously what my very first business was that even the talent agency came to mind. That sort of like erased from my memory. But I would say if I was to pinpoint, a time in history where my first set of entrepreneurial skills showed, it would definitely have been that. And that was when I was 18 years old. So basically I was still at uni at the time. I was studying law and I was working as I was doing like model promotional work sort of thing. I use that term model very loosely, but I was doing some promotional work. And anyhow, after one of my shifts, I was handing out flyers for an Anytime Fitness franchise. And I went into the office after my shift and I said to the boss, I said, look, if you don't mind me asking, like, how much are you paying for me an hour? I was just curious, to be honest. And he said, I'm paying $65 an hour. And my jaw fell to the floor. I was gobsmacked. I was only getting $20 an hour. So I did the quick math and I said, look, mate, if I can line up a bunch of, fit looking girls for you, will you go through me? And he said, yeah, absolutely. Like he was so down to save some cash. So I did that for about maybe 12 months and I had like anywhere from two to about 8 girls on shift at different locations at a time. And I don't think I really realized what I was doing, but I'm sure if I pursued it, I would have, but it was a means to an end for me.
So you just jumped straight in. Did you have any experience with business or anything like that before? Or you're just like, I can do this better. I got the girls.
Yeah, no. I didn't think anything of it. And at that time as well, we didn't really have social media to tell us, about how to run a business or, what you should be looking out for or anything like that. I just saw a problem and just created a solution. But I didn't consider myself an entrepreneur. I didn't call myself a business owner and I didn't run it legitimately or anything like that. I think some tax caught up to me later down the track, but I was just young and I just wanted to fix the problem that I saw, really.
Yeah.
And I was always just paying bills through university, as you just get that survival mode about you. And then it really wasn't until Equalution that I think I was a true entrepreneur.
Why did it stop?
I couldn't even tell you, but I do remember I actually stopped uni because I got a job at Google, and at that time it was like the bee's knees. Like it was gold that I'd even landed this opportunity. So I actually deferred my law degree and I took the full-time job at Google, and I probably would have finished the business, I guess, at that time as well, because I was all in and I had this, mindset that I would climb the corporate ladder. But I also was a bit of a risk taker, and I don't genuinely have much fear surrounding any decision that I make. So I'll usually just go with it if I think it's the best thing for me to do at the time.
What did you do at Google?
I was head of AdWords in the sales department. So I actually used to sell the sales space and the strategy that went with paid marketing for a lot of like small to medium sized businesses. And at that time, Google paid ads was really one of the only forms of digital marketing. Yeah. So, boosting posts and Facebook and Instagram were not really much of a thing back then.
Is it true that at Google it's like super sick? Like there's bikes, there's free shit. Tell us what's it like?
So it was a really cool culture, and I got the job through my co-founder of Equalution. So we started working at Google together and had Equalution on the side, but she actually got me the gig at Google. And we would just, as soon as we started our side hustle, we always used to fantasize and say, like, if when this turns into something amazing, we want an office just like this. Like the training was impeccable. So the onboarding process as a new employee, I took a lot from that. I
was going to ask, what have you learned?
Yeah,
spill the juices.
Well, you don't feel just like a number. I never felt like a number. I felt like a valued part of the mechanics of Google. Like I really did. I was a top performer in my team, which I think helps. My commission outweighed my base salary, which I did quite well at my job. But aside from that, just like the cultural investment that they make into, making that place a better place to work, it's pretty cool. I remember you walked in and there was like a big greenery wall. There was this, really cool, quirky guy behind the desk that would greet everyone, and he had a parrot on a perch like at the front of the desk, and all the food was free. There was swings. I remember there was a swing with like a tire on it, like just in the middle of nowhere. You could just jump on a swing and take a call. Like it was pretty cool. It was really cool.
Right. So what's the whole, like what did you learn from being an employee there that you've taken from that to put into your own businesses?
I think the value of staff, and not that I needed that lesson to show me value, but the way that we worked as a team, we weren't actually getting paid that well. Like the base salary was not great. My commission was unbelievable, but that just goes to show I had to put in the work to get that remuneration. So it wasn't like a, high flying paying job. It was more the way that they made us feel kept us there. So I think that was a big lesson. I was also super young, so it was it was inspiring for me. And I think that's something that I understand now from, being a founder and being a leader, is the place that you create ultimately can, pave the way that someone sort of takes their job and, takes the bull by the horns, I guess.
Yeah. So you're working there, then you guys started your tech company. So was this, apart from the agency thing, was this the first like proper business you put together?
Yeah, the first proper, and my I never felt anything like this before. Yeah. And even now I am obsessed with what I do, and I love it, and I love my clients, and I love the roadmap of where this current business is going. I don't think it's like nothing compares to your first love. It's very similar. It was a really amazing feeling knowing that I had been dropped on this earth for this reason. So we actually were our own first customers. So basically, Amal and I, we started training together first year out of school. So we ran into each other out of school. We went to high school together, but we weren't in the same friendship group. And she had lost about 30 kilos. And I said, "You look amazing." And she said, "You come and train with me." I said, "I'm trying to lose weight." So I just took her up on that opportunity. I'm like, I'm going to follow her. Whatever she's doing, I want to do too. So I started training with her, and we just had this real like-minded sort of chemistry where we were just like, how far can we take this? And we decided to do a bodybuilding show. So we actually prepped for our first bodybuilding show together, and we did it under all clean eating protocols. So we ate, chicken, broccoli, fish, asparagus, egg whites and oats, and that was about it for 6 months. And then we stepped on stage and we didn't really look anything special, to be completely honest with you. After 6 months of that blood, sweat and tears, we were pretty disappointed. And then we started seeking answers, and we found a coach. His name was Jonathan Dixon. He was actually our third business partner when we first started Equalution, and then he decided he didn't want to do nutrition anymore. He wanted to open a supplement store, and he did. So we met Jonathan, and he coached us for our next show, and we did it under a flexible dieting protocol. And basically we found him because we heard that he was giving his clients ice cream and they were losing weight, and we were like, who is this guy? Sign us up. And we legitimately did. We ate ice cream and we lost weight, and we just, at that time, we couldn't believe it. We were just shocked, and we thought, why does the world not know about this?
So for the listener who's listening to this going, who has a job, who might have a corporate job, and they're like you, they have that burning desire. They know they're not a normal person.
Yep.
They know they're an entrepreneur. How did the idea come for this app from the working in Google to an idea to the execution of this?
Yep.
How did that come about?
Okay, so basically we were servicing clients through really a manual process when it came to creating a nutrition plan. It used to take us ages to actually customize someone's plan.
Yeah. Like, is your background like in personal training?
No.
Okay.
So Jonathan, who was our third business partner, he basically wrote the rule book for us, and he said, look, I'm going to do the numbers go on this spreadsheet. He ended up, we all created a spreadsheet with an algorithm in it. So that was our universal algorithm. So you punch the data in, spat out the number. So there was pieces of the app that existed in a big manual way for a lot of years before we actually invested into the tech product. Amal, my co-founder, actually phoned me one day, and she was like, we were just kind of at our wit's end. We were working every single minute we could outside of our Google jobs. We were doing this on the side. And I think we were pulling in about $800 a week each between the three of us, which at the time was really good. And we put our heads together and thought, imagine if we did this full time. Like, A, we could service a lot more people. B, we could invest into like a roadmap of some sort. Like, we could take this somewhere. And C, like, there is commercial opportunity in this as well. So we went to Jonathan and we were like, what do you think? And he said, no, you girls do this. I don't want to do this. I want to open a supplement store. And he did. He's got a couple of stores at the moment. So he went on to do that. And Amal phoned me one day, and we were just busting our boiler, just trying to get all of our plans done outside of our work hours. She said, imagine if you could just like punch into an app and it would just spit out the plan. And we were like, that's where we've got to go. So we actually quit our full-time jobs at Google, and we took a one-way ticket to Silicon Valley because we heard that's where it gets it done, where you could get shit done.
Yeah. Was it scary?
No. I've never been scared. I've never been scared. I think the only apprehension I've ever had is my most recent exit. But I had a lot of maturity under my belt at that point to feel more things that I would have felt in early 20s. But when we made that decision, no, there was no fear. We'd saved so much money between us that we thought would last us a lifetime. It didn't really. But we then got on a plane and we went to Silicon Valley. We really just fart-assed around for a little bit and just didn't know what the hell we were doing. We started getting a bit distracted. We were looking at salad bars and gyms and then we're like, no, you're here for a reason. We're building this app. So we ended up enrolling into, the best thing we ever did was we enrolled into this conference. It was called the Startup Grind, and it was powered by Google actually. And it was in San Fran, and we went to this startup grind, and we thought we'd either find an investor, find a CTO, or learn how to build an app. So one of the three. We did none of those three. But we took a few key learnings home with us. We ended up, after that, running out of money and coming back home to the turf that we knew the best, and decided to just grow the revenue to be able to support bootstrapping an app. But when we were over there, I think the amount of amazing entrepreneurs that were in that one room at that time, you would never get that smorgasbord of fantastic minds again. Like it was founder of Twitter, Uber, Lyft, ClassPass, like all in one room. And everything about their stories resonated with us. We were like, we're at this part of their story. We're going to get there. We'll be on that. We felt it. We really, really felt it. And there was no ego or arrogance. It was just like, we just felt like
certainty.
we just felt like we were here to do this job.
How did you get into the room of those people? Did you buy your way in?
We bought tickets and they were really expensive.
What sort of event was this?
It was called the Startup Grind, and it was basically startup founders.
How much were tickets?
About $1,500.
Okay,
so it was a bit of an investment back at that time.
Yeah, and I loved it. So how much of you being in that room and networking with those people, do you think that had, can you look back on that and be like, I made 100x my ROI on that ticket? Do you think it played a big significant role in anything for you?
It was more, I think, just every part of your journey contributes to where you end up. And it was just like, I look at being in that room and I'm like, that was part of my journey, you know?
Did it instill more belief in you?
Yeah,
that these guys have done it then?
Way more. And then we also met these guys, and they had a accelerator program in Texas, and they offered us, I think, $40,000 for 20% of our business, which we kind of were like, no. But in the same breath, we're like, I think we just got our first offer, you know, and we are just getting started. So I think it was all the pushes in the right direction for us and all the signs. So we were just running out of money anyway. So we jumped on a plane, we went back home, and we decided to bootstrap the app. And it was a really long journey. We failed a couple of times before we got it right. We enrolled ourselves in an accelerator program at Sydney University when we got home. It was called Incubate, and it was run by Sydney Uni. And we met a lot of mentors there. And
what's that about?
It's basically just like from idea to go to market. It's kind of, they back founders that have got a little bit of something going on, like maybe they've got some validation, so a little bit of traction, and they just kind of put you in the right space with the right people to be able to kind of flourish. And we never took investment throughout that process as well. So we retained all of our equity. We met some young uni kids who ended up building our first version of our app. It failed. And then we ended up meeting a mentor who put us onto an offshore team to build our second version. And that also failed as well. So from that, with every setback, we just got a little further, you know.
What was going through your head when and can you put some context around the failure? Like, was it a failure for you, or was it a setback, or was it like complete failure? Or was it like just didn't hit your expectations? Like, what was the failure?
The apps didn't work. They fundamentally didn't work. I'll give you an example. Like, for instance, it generated a bowl of cereal and gave a liter of milk and 10 grams of cereal. Like, the algorithms were just not quite working. The app fully didn't function, and of course, we were young and silly and signed waivers and ridded ourselves of their liability and everything like that. So we were, I guess we lost money, but we just sort of walked into every new engagement with like, okay, this is what we did last time. This is what we think we need next time. And then we met the guy that built our app, and we found out about him through a friend, and he was based down in Wollongong. He had a company called Devika. He's actually one of my co-founders now of a new venture. So we've stuck side by side throughout the process.
Is this another one? This is Big Appetite or another one?
Another one, yeah.
Cool.
So I'm building a tech product for the Big Appetite clients, and he's part of that. And so basically I remember when he signed the contract, and my co-founder looked at him and she said, "This is our last shot." But that actually it felt like our last shot because we were like, the money a third time round, it would have just hurt us. You know, we would have been back to the drawing board for years.
What kind of money were you putting in that you were losing on this?
The first one we lost 10 grand, which was water off a duck's back. The second one we lost 280, and we were like 23, 4 years old. So, and it was like nothing registered in terms of like, this is your house deposit or this is nothing like that. There was no fear surrounding the money. It was more just like money was time, because we'd have to go back to the drawing board and work for 12 months to bootstrap to go again. So we just felt like we were running out of time, and we also didn't know. We thought we were onto something, and we didn't know how long it would be before the next app came around. The next MyFitnessPal or something.
What's up, Dream Nation? Have you ever wondered how far ahead your life would have already been if you had got access to this type of content at a younger age? Look, this is why I need your help. I'm trying to build the #1 personal development platform out there to teach you guys the tips, tricks, and attitude of what it takes to live your dream life, and to bring the type of education that we all wish we had in school. This show only grows by word of mouth and new subscribers, so it would mean the world to me if you could smash that subscribe button right now, leave us a 5-star written review or drop a comment below and share this episode with a friend. I would be forever grateful. All right, now let's get back into this episode. What's been your attitude the whole time around these failures? Like when you face with a failure again, what do you say to yourself? What's your attitude around it?
Well, I mean, it's easy to describe them on like, you know, the podcast or a conversation or something like that as a failure, like it didn't work or something. But I've never referred to it as that in my mind. And I don't know, I think I don't have an attitude towards it. It's neither bitter and neither sweet. It's just, it's part of what I have to go through. And I work with tech too. That's, you sign up for that.
I don't even like downloading the newest app on my phone.
Yeah, I know. I know. So I don't know. What's meant to be will be. I might sound a bit blasé, but I always have a co-founder who's the opposite, and that's always really good for me. We balance each other always, and I just feel like I know when I'm here to do a job, and I won't stop till I get the job done. So if any sort of setbacks happen, it's part of the journey.
I love how much you back yourself. I think that's from this short conversation already, and there's how much I know you. The biggest thing, like you will succeed at every single thing and anything you do because of just how much you back yourself. Have you always been like that?
No, I think that was something that came with, I've done a lot of, I don't want to sound woo-woo and say work or anything like that, but I've had a really... This
is a personal development podcast.
Yeah. I want to try and be as, you know, factual and whatnot as possible. But there's some things that I can't quite explain. And, you know, I believe in the universe. And I think we all have a plan of some sort. And sometimes when adversity happens, it really is simply part of the plan. And I think that attitude has been something that has formed over time, instead of like, you know, why is this happening to me? It's happening for me. That sort of shift in attitude has been something that's happened with maturity. I mean, I'm 31 now. I wouldn't have said this at 25. And I had a lot more ego back then as well. Like, you know, when we first started becoming successful, I was wearing my money and driving my money and on yachts and on this and on that. And I'm not like that anymore. And I think there's a lot of things that have come with the maturity, and the self-belief has been one of those things, because I've become closer to who I'm supposed to be rather than something that I'm sort of not. The exit, it was 2 years ago. I actually think it might be today. But 2 years ago, I literally, like, from on paper standpoint, everything was going grouse. It was great. You know, I was up at the top of the food chain, and I had 30 staff, and the company was performing really well. And I was really lonely. I was really, really unhappy. And I also wasn't aligning with the future of the company, and I was starting to question my place and where it's going. And there was, you know, lack of alignment between my co-founder and I with that journey as well. And I just felt in my heart of hearts it was time to leave. But it was really the first time that I didn't leave for something. I left and had to just back that I would do this again. And I think my biggest I don't usually get fearful or anything like that. I'm like never fearful, but something that was like frightening to me was like, what if I am a one-hit wonder? Like, what if this was just a strike of good luck? But then, you know, with a bit of time, that narrative is mine to write. I could have been someone that used to be, or I can continue as the person that I feel that I'm supposed to be, which is a leader. Like I really feel like I'm supposed to innovate product and create things for consumers to make their lives better and take that risk. Like that's how I feel. So there was definitely a point in that journey where that breakaway probably made me more confident.
Yeah. Are you in a relationship?
I am now, yes.
Okay. For how long?
Literally 2 months after my exit. So I met him about 2 years ago. Yeah.
So how has it been as a female entrepreneur, CEO, boss lady, killing it? And because it's a using a lot of masculine energy, it's like getting shit done. How has it been with your dating life whilst building these successful businesses?
Well, It was a roller coaster because I was someone that wanted to be loved, but I was a hard person to please by way of what fulfilled me as well. I had some really great relationships with like very incredible people, like not the ordinary person, you know, people that did amazing things with their lives before meeting Matt. And I found that everything has an opportunity cost. You know, you meet someone that is super successful, and then somewhere along the line there's intimidation by your path and your journey. And then, you know, there's like...
What do you mean by that?
Like I felt like sometimes I would be, I'm not saying men are like this, but the men that I dated often were really comfortable to dim my light to shine theirs brighter. I really felt that was something that I experienced.
Were they also entrepreneurs, business owners or something?
Yeah, so yeah, some of them had, yeah. Like I didn't date many people, I'll put it that way, but the relationships that I had that, you know, I invested a lot of time into and stuff before me, either had businesses or were just really great at their craft, like at a very high level. And yeah, I felt like little. I just always felt little, and I don't feel like I was that in my professional life. And then I would come home and I just feel small, and yeah, it wasn't a very good it wasn't a dynamic that matched me. But I guess that's what finding love is. It's a journey in itself. You know, you figure out what you want and what you don't want. And I always had like a lot of really old school kind of values, you know, one person, you know, just respect and communication and all that kind of stuff. And I feel like it wasn't something that I got back until meeting Matt. And then I met Matt, and he was very much sort of like the opposite in a lot of ways, but just so complimentary. And like I really truly believe in that, you know, when you know kind of thing, because I experienced that.
So how any advice you've got for listeners? Like I'm really loving this, and I know lots of women listening to this are gonna be frothing this because like at my events and stuff, I see this a lot, and I know a lot of women that want to be successful often, I'm not saying all, but often come with this battle. Well, if I'm super successful, it's gonna be hard to meet someone on this level or these sorts of things. So what sort of advice do you have for them that are building their thing, they're successful in their own right and they're doing it, to have a successful dating life as well?
Well, you know, I personally feel as though there was a lot of things that were pointing to that I was a successful female at many parts of my 20s, but I never truly felt that because I lacked in the love space. Like I felt like I wasn't completely, you know, I'd done all the right things, because that part of my life was just such chaos, you know. So I feel as though on that note, like I feel women, especially high performers, tend to feel like all their ducks should be in a row. And I truly believe after going through this like journey in the love space that there is no timeline, there is no rule book, there's no way to do it, and everyone's path looks really different. I feel like there's a little bit more set in stone about your professional world. You kind of feel the things that make you feel really good. And I think sometimes in the love space, those things are like a little more hard to get a grip of, because unless you're doing heaps of dating, it's like so hard to know, you know, but you just got to like lead with feeling. But I think if you're tough on yourself, it's a really hard place to be in it throughout that journey. So my advice would just be there is no timeline. When you do things, it's on your time, your books, your rules, like that's up to you. But every person that, you know, I was like heartbroken by, or I wanted it to work out and it didn't work out, or I had heard the word "you are too much" so much. And I believed it at that point. I'm like, I know, I'm so sorry. I know I'm working like so much. I can't see you. It was a lot, but then that doesn't matter to the right person. It doesn't. You know, all those insecurities, they go away. And I think the good one is worth waiting for sure.
Have you ever been super hard on yourself?
Every day, every single day.
Still now?
Yeah, for sure. Really hard on myself. In
a good light or a not so good light?
Both, because I feel as though I'm really fortunate. I have an amazing family. I'm one of 5 siblings, and all my siblings and I are super close. My sister works with me, and she's always just there and sees everything. And then I've got my partner as well. And the amount of times that they say, yeah, but you've done this, and then there's this, and then that's in the works, and that will resolve itself. Those voices of reason are now around me, whereas I spent a lot of my entrepreneurial journey very isolated and very alone. I now sort of am very conscious that the people who love me need my time and my energy, and therefore they're always kind of there, but they pull me into line when I need to be. But otherwise, I'd be a shit show. I'd be hard on myself every minute.
Yeah. Well, I think the reason I ask is I think it's the sign of a very successful and driven person, entrepreneur. I often say, I swear I've said on this podcast a million times already, but I like to find the balance between being extremely proud of everything I've done and grateful for what I've done, but equally disgusted.
Yeah.
And because I think you I've this big event coming up. We have Dreamfest coming up. It's the biggest event I've ever ran. And it brings on so many stress levels that have just literally worried me in my gut for the last 4 months. And we only just went live a week ago. And already, because I'm a fucking sicko, I'm thinking about the next one.
Yeah.
I'm like, just as when things start to get a little bit easier, because we've got the system set up and the marketing is going, the tickets are selling, and things are just rocking. I'm like, cool, we'll sell this out. And I don't think it's going to require much more effort from me anymore. Yeah. So I'm like, well, what's the next one? Yeah. And I think it's just so normal. But I think if the reason I ask if it's good or bad, because I think it can become toxic. Less so if it has become toxic in the past for you, but when people can be like, it's still not good enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. Because I think that's the line of being toxic. Because if we're operating and creating and achieving from a place of because that's still trying to prove something versus going, no, because I did that for a while. I was like, no, I got to keep doing more to impress people, impress, the followers and all this shit. But now I know I operate from a place of going I want to create more to find my new limit. Yeah, for sure. Because every time I create more stuff and I do stuff, I'm like, fuck, me a year ago had no idea that was possible. Definitely. So I wonder what's possible next. Yeah. Yeah. Have you ever struggled with like being more on the toxic side of it?
Look, I think every part of it, even when you say it from a positive light, it has its level of toxicity.
You dance with it, right?
Yeah, I go with it now. I've always been really lucky. Like I said, people around me, whether that be friends and family or whether it be even my co-founders. I've been really blessed with great co-founder working relationships, whilst we've actively had the businesses together. And I feel like you always have one to balance the other out. When I say we should be here, they will say, yeah, but we've come from here. And when they say, we should have done that, I would say, yeah, but we did all that, and that's being in a partnership.
And that's why it's good to the people who are telling you that as well, though, right? Because you could have one person. This is why I'll bang on time every single day about the power of your environment, the people you surround with. Because if you have people around you going, oh God, but look at what about all this? And they're saying it from a light. It's like, well, you should just be grateful. It's almost like that tall poppy syndrome thing. It's like, we should just be grateful for what you've done, instead of like as if the hunger inside for more is a bad thing. Yeah. But if the people around you can be like, hey, I get that. Because my partner does it a bit. She's very hard and soft. But I was like, I think a level of it is very good because it will keep you hungry. Definitely. A hungry dog runs faster. Yeah. So if we've always got that level of, I'm still not where I want to be, but I'm so proud of how far I've come, and I'm so proud of where I have gotten myself to, because I could have been over there, but I know what I've still got inside.
Definitely.
And that's what excites me.
Yeah, and I think if it doesn't disrupt your piece, use it as an advantage, I think as long as you're not, crying yourself to sleep at night feeling hopeless when you've actually achieved incredible things, I think that use it as a weapon.
One thing I wanted to ask you, so you operated a team. When you were managing the team of 30 people, what was your main role?
Head of marketing. So I used to do marketing and sales and partnerships, and my co-founder would do, operations, finances, and the technology side of things.
So you had a team of 30 in marketing?
In marketing, no. In marketing,
the whole?
Yeah, that's the whole. Most of our team at that point were coaches as well. Yeah. So they kind of didn't fall within either.
So my question is, one thing I'm learning very, very quickly. So before I started business, I was a carpenter.
Yeah.
So how I ever learned in this big bad world of life was like we learn as like you'd rock up on the job site. Here's a tool. What should I do? Just learn me. Learn.
Yeah.
There's no systems. There's no procedure.
Yeah.
There's none of that shit. And now I'm building businesses and I started hiring people and I'm like, just fucking do this. You should be able to do it, right?
Yeah.
And then I've been learning like how to really teach people and build operations and build systems and all these sorts of things. Has the management side of building businesses, like managing people, has that come naturally to you or have you had to learn this the hard way?
I think it's come naturally by way of like a natural leadership side of things. And like, you know, I'm really not afraid to say when I've messed up, and I don't have an ego about me whereby I'm worried about what everyone thinks or impressing people or something like that. Like I'm pretty all for taking ownership. But in the same breath, I've always been pretty fortunate that the people who work for me, I have really great relationships with and I feel like they love me. You know, like I feel like that love and that care is there. So that's been lucky, and that's been something that's come very naturally. Like even like when I was a kid, I was school captain, you know, like that sort of thing I don't think it's just developed over time. But in terms of like natural management, from a more guess commercial standpoint, that's come with a lot of maturity, like getting the job done versus getting the job done and maximizing profitability, efficiency, customer experience. You know, that is a different kettle of fish, you know. And I think that Equalution, it was just the demand was so high and it was like, get the job done. Like in the very early years, it's changed a lot since then. But in the early years, it was get the job done. So all these girls were working for us, and we were just moving through work. And now my approach is so much more strategic. It's like you bring this person on. What does that head count, you know, account for on an annual revenue basis? What do they do Monday? What do they do Tuesday? What are they contributing to customer side of things, operations side of things? You know, like it's way more thought through now. But I would never have expected me at 25 to be able to adopt those. That is a 30-year-old mindset.
Yeah. Did you just learn that through trial and error? Or
Yeah. I learnt it through just paying more attention to the P&L and, you know, looking at customer feedback and seeing what they want and saying, well, who's the best person to deliver that in what line of the customer journey? That was where it sort of came from. Yeah.
What's something you know now about business, entrepreneurship, and life that you wish you knew at the start of your journey?
I wish I knew how much the customer could change the trajectory of where you go. And I learnt that through building tech. And the reason being was because to build in a feature or to take the product a different direction, you need to actually know you need to quantify that investment. You know how much you're spending to get that feature. And there needs to be data-driven decision making. So you need to know, you know, how much do people actually want this, or how much do we as founders want to say, we've just put in this, like, and distinguish between the two. So now whenever I want to do something, the customer decides. You know, we recently in Big Appetite, so now I have a tech and marketing agency. That's what I left to start. I run it with my co-founder, Jenna Davies, who's exceptional at what she does from a marketing space as well. And we just developed our accelerator program, which is like our 12-week sort of from, you know, starting idea with a business to market, or alternatively, you know, giving it.
Is this any business or a specific one?
Specifically in the health and fitness space is like our specialty, but we work with any startups. Anyway, so that we've just turned that 12-week accelerator program into an online sort of software experience, and that will keep developing over time. And that's sort of like our future. But we didn't just like say, oh, this would be nice. We let the customer drive the birth of that. And I just think, answer is always in the customer.
Yeah. What's the biggest piece of advice you have for leaders? Or for being like a world-class leader?
A world-class leader, I think listen more than you talk. I think that's really key. And I just think a lot of times we are often called to put feelings away, you know, pack them away. You're in a CEO position, deal with it head on, black and white. I actually think that leading with feeling, especially as a female entrepreneur, is a really powerful weapon. And I think it allows you to understand how people feel. That not only goes for your teams, but also your customers as well. And yeah, I think it's something that should be embraced rather than put away and replaced with like masculinity.
If you were to give any sort of advice to female entrepreneurs wanting to dig their heels in and get going, what would it be?
I think really find where you sit in that problem solution equation. You know, like I think that a lot of people will sit down and say, well, like, what business can I start? I think what problem can you see is probably more a better start, and then sort of weighing in where you fit into that equation. Like, have you had an experience that has made you like a front runner in bringing this to market? Do you have a passion? Do you have a knack for studying the subject, or, have tried it in some capacity before and it's worked, so you want to try scaling that? Like, just asking where you sit in that equation, but really, asking yourself what problems are out there and how can I fix them?
I love that. Jade, this has been sick.
Thank you for having me.
I know everyone is going to love this. So where can everybody find you on social media and see everything you're doing and what you're about to do over the next decade?
So my Instagram is Jade Spooner, and my current business is Big Appetite, so big.appetite. If you've got a business at present, you just want to join with a little startup business builders crew, that is really the place to check all that out.
I love it. Awesome. Okay, so to wrap this up, I've got a final question.
Yes, I'm nervous. I'm nervous because I told you before, James Smith went before me and I'm scared. Big shoes to fill. Big shoes to fill.
Tell you what, it's not going to take much to top his final question.
Oh, no.
Okay, so the final question. If you were to go back to your 18-year-old self and give her 30 seconds of advice, what would it be?
Don't change a thing. Just do exactly what you're about to do and learn from every single corner that you turn. Kiss more boys, let your hair down, have more fun. I was such a straighty 180, and I was so caught up in just driving to some sort of successful narrative. But I just wish I let my hair down a little bit more.
Love it. Thank you so much for listening. And if you got value from this episode, it goes such a long way. If you can just take 20 seconds of your time, leave me a 5-star rating and written review, then screenshot this episode and share it to your story. And make sure you tag me for that shout out. And until next time, guys, go out there and dream out loud.